All right, hello. My name is Kelvin Land. I'm going to be interviewing you two for my interpersonal communication assignment. Now, can you please start off by stating your name and your relationship with each other? We'll start with.
Kelvin Land. This is my wife.
Rosalind Land.
All right. Now, let's just jump right in. Let's start from the beginning. Could you tell me how the two of you met or got together? Let's start with how you guys met.
We were in church.
Hmm.
I was in church. She was in the choir. And as they were marching in, I was looking at the lady's legs. True story. When I got to a pair of legs I liked, I looked up to look at the face. And she had some very nice legs. And I looked up. Face was nice. I'm like,
It was
okay, she's
beautiful. The
nice.
face was beautiful.
Okay, the face was beautiful. So, and I noticed while she was in the choir stage, she kept looking at me.
Hmm.
Now I'm trying to listen to this man preach, and she's constantly looking at me and giggling and talking to her friend. Well, after service was over, yes, you were. After service was over, a friend of mine asked me if I would like to meet her. If I was somebody I'd like to meet, and I told her it was I'd like to meet her. And so we met at that time and exchanged phone numbers and started calling from there.
All right. And Rosalind Land, would you like to elaborate on your first meeting with Kelvin Land?
Yes. Well, I guess he was checking me out, but as far as the choir thing and me staring at him, how would he know that I was staring at him? He had to be staring at me to know that I was staring at him, right?
True.
I just
There
looked
you
at him
go.
now.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Could you tell me what your first impressions were of each other?
I thought she looked wonderful. She was beautiful. I wanted to know her.
And Rosalind?
It's all right. I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, right.
He was down. He was visiting from Houston. Well, he moved from Houston. He didn't have any family here, and I felt sorry for him. And I was doing the Christian thing by offering him my phone number, so if he had any questions about California, I could answer them for him.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah, right.
Now let's think about the time you two started going out. What do you remember from when you guys started, dating?
He didn't have a car.
And Kelvin Land?
I didn't have a car.
All right. Do you remember anything that stood out or like the highlights of your relationship?
He didn't have a car. He lived so far away from me.
All right. So you lived a good distance away. How far away did you say you lived from her?
About 20 miles. She lived in Long Beach and I lived in LA at the time.
And what were you doing in LA?
I had moved out here, out there, and moved out there to LA from Texas.
So you're originally from, as you said,
Houston.
Houston, Texas. And what was the reason that you moved to California?
Actually, I just wanted to, I needed to get away from my family. I did want to pursue an acting career, but I wanted to also see what else was out there. And I did a few movies, made some pretty good money doing that, but that was not what God had planned for me. So I had to go with what He wanted, not what I wanted.
Hmm. All right, that's cool. That's interesting. Now, when you two were together, do you remember anything you guys did together? When you went on dates or anything? Any particular date stand out to you?
We went to Hollywood once. The only thing that stood out, she thought I was kind of strange because I was holding her hand.
Hmm.
I was actually trying to keep her protected because there's a bunch of weirdos out there.
I can
She thought
verify.
it was strange that I was holding her hand.
I didn't think it was strange.
Hmm. Well, next question. Can you guys tell me how you decided to have an exclusive relationship? Like over all the people in the world, what made you choose Rosalind and what made you choose Kelvin?
We had dated for 4 years. We've been dating for quite some time, and at the time, I just realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my life without her.
And you, Rosalind?
Oh, well, I felt sorry for him. He didn't have family here. He was from Texas, and I wouldn't know. No, I was in love.
When do you think the first time you guys actually felt true love was in your relationship? You can go from the many years you've been dating, or if you went on a specific date and you realized that I love this person.
I don't remember any specific date.
Do you remember how many years you've been together when you first said I love you?
Three?
Years?
Yeah, but
No, it was more. It was less than that. It was probably months. Oh, don't remember.
Don't remember? That's perfectly fine.
He's too old. He can't remember.
You're right.
All right, now let me ask you another question. Your wedding. Do you remember your wedding?
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell me about your wedding? Some highlights about your wedding, things that stood out to you, things that really made you guys
It
happy.
went by real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Real fast.
It would go
Really?
real
I
fast.
tell you one thing that I enjoyed.
Hmm.
My dad and I went to her mom's house to pick up. You know, we were having some people cater food, and she made some chicken for it. And when she told us to take the she had a cooler full. We brought it out to the car, and she went back inside. I said, "Daddy," he said, "Huh? There's some fried chicken in here." So he said, "Yeah." So we opened it, grabbed us a piece of chicken. We were standing out there just looking, just brooding, having us a good old time. She busted us right in there.
She is in Roslyn.
No, her mom busted us.
Oh,
Dang.
Busted me and my dad. So we ended up taking. I just remember setting it up was quick. We got dressed, went to the wedding, came back, did the
Reception.
reception, and all of a sudden it was over.
And I was tired. I was tired. It was a long day. But it went by fast. But the wedding was beautiful. I was happy.
really? Hmm. Well, did you guys have a honeymoon? And if you did, what do you remember about it?
Vegas.
We went to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
And we didn't really have a honeymoon then. Our honeymoon came a couple months later, and we went to Hawaii. Somebody
Yeah,
paid
that was
for a trip to Hawaii for us for our honeymoon, so we did that later. But we stayed after we got married. We kind of stayed around because we had family from his family from Houston, my family from Indianapolis, Indiana, and we wanted to spend some time with them. So we didn't go on a honeymoon right away. We just went to Vegas for a couple days and
hmm
came home.
Hmm. All right. Um. So, about your wedding again. Um. Oh, my mistake. Next question. Um. Could you guys think back to the first time or the first year you were together in a committed relationship? Just think back to your first year. What do you remember about your first year being together?
It was exciting, you know. It was exciting. It was fresh. It was brand new. It was exciting.
It was expensive for me because we were on the phone, long distance calls. You know, my bill was $40 for a phone bill. And that back then, phone bills weren't that expensive. But yeah, because we'd stay on the phone long time. We talked almost every day. So yeah, that
You stated back then. Do you remember the year it was?
what
89,
1889.
maybe 17, 16? No, 1990.
No,
We got
we
married
got
in
married
90.
in '90, so it
We
was
dated for 4 years, so maybe
'86,
1986.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
Mm. All right. Now you two are parents, correct?
Yep.
Well, do you remember the transition it was from being a married couple to being parents? Was it a difficult transition, or do you remember the transition very much?
Well, it wasn't difficult. I mean, she came, and we had to deal with it.
She
It
came as
was
in
different,
your first
Chelsea.
child.
Yeah,
Your first child, and her name is what? And what was her name?
Chelsea, and we used to. I remember the biggest change. I remember we used to go to the movies like every weekend, and all of a sudden when she came along, put a stop to that.
Mhm.
Couldn't do a lot of things that we used to do as single parent, a single couple. We couldn't do a lot as a married couple with children
Because I mean, we there were
because
times we just get up and go to
yeah,
Vegas
we
just for
just
the
get
fun
up
of
and
it.
go because
Just
it
wake
was
up on
just two
Saturday
of
and go.
us.
Just do it. You want to go to Vegas? Yeah, let's go. We just drive on up there. Couldn't do that with her.
And you only have one child, or more than one?
Two. You
You,
the other one. You came along shortly after.
could you give me that child's name?
You know your name.
Kelvin Land Jr., the second, Kelvin Gerard Land the second.
All right. So, what was the transition from having from one child to two children? Was it much difficult having two children, or did you gain experience with the first child so that having a second one was much easier?
Well, as far as carrying the child, no, I was sick with both of them, but it was work because you got two little ones. You had a 2 year old and a 8 month old or a newborn.
Mm.
Of course, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but you manage. You make it work. You just do it. You just do it.
Now, do you remember anything that stood out about having children? Like, do you remember birthdays or days you took them out on a vacation that stood out to you? Or anything the child did when they were younger that just brought a smile to your face or made you laugh?
When we traveled, my son threw up all the time.
Every time we got
Every
it
time
on
we
the
got in the
car.
car, an hour into the trip, he threw up everywhere, and we had to pull over.
And your daughter, anything that she did that was interesting or put a smile to your face?
Only thing she did, I remember one time on like her first birthday, we had a big party for her, and everybody started to, sing happy birthday. She starts crying because they singing at her.
Hmm.
But she was so pretty. And Curtis, her uncle, just loved her to death.
All right. Let's go on to the next question. Um, Looking over the years after you guys have been married and your kids have grown up, what times do you remember that were just really good times? Do you remember anything that was just like a moment in time when you guys truly felt at peace? You were really happy. If you remember those moments, could you elaborate on them?
Being with my family. I've always been the type that just loved being with my family. The Christmas parties, not Christmas parties, but Christmas. I just loved it when my mother was there at my house at Christmas.
Are you talking about your immediate family or your your maiden family?
My immediate family, along with my mother. And my immediate family, my two kids, myself, my husband, along with my mother on Christmas Day. We'd open gifts, and she was just there. I always loved it when my mother came to stay with me at my house. But Christmas was really nice. And then everybody would come over, and I just loved it.
Now, this moment was when you guys were still living in California.
Yes.
And for you, any moments that you remember that just really made you really happy, brought you peace?
I know since we've been here in Texas, just driving, you having an immediate family together, driving to Houston, visit my family. It's just good having you guys with having both my children with me, my wife, and sometimes we would just start talking. Those times that we talked made the trip real short.
Mm. Now, you mentioned in Texas, you guys lived in California and moved to Texas. You, Kelvin Land, you actually were born in Houston, Texas, moved to California, and then moved back to Texas.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what year you got, how many years you stayed in California when you guys were married, and when you decided to move to Texas?
She's been there for what? Practically all her life. I was there until you came here. I was there for about 17 years
You was where?
in L.A.
You asked how long was he here?
How long was he in California?
Oh.
And then, how long have you guys been living in Texas as a family?
11.
11 years. All right. Most couples would say that relationships go through periods of ups and downs. Would you say that's true about your relationship as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Every
But you just don't sweat the small stuff. Life is too short to be mad. You never know. You'll be here today, gone tomorrow, or gone the next minute. So I don't sweat the small stuff. I don't take things personal, and I just move on.
All right. And for you, Calvin Land,
Pretty much the same. You're gonna have ups and downs in any relationship.
You got to
But
learn
you
how to
have,
deal with them.
yeah.
But each of the spouse has to be willing to give in, even though you know you're right. Just it ain't worth it to be right all the time and to make sure the other person says sorry first. It ain't worth it.
understand.
But I really believe that the husbands should really like
Be right all the time.
always want to please their wives and do whatever it takes to make her happy. That's how I feel husbands should be. Do whatever it takes to make her happy. And if it means just saying sorry, even though he knows he's not wrong, if it means him just saying sorry, say sorry. It ain't gonna kill you to say sorry.
True.
Even though you know you're wrong, just say sorry. What is it gonna hurt? What's the worst could happen if you say sorry?
I completely agree. Now let me just go on to the next question. Looking back over the years, do you remember any really, really hard times that you guys have gone through, either with each other or with your kids or with things in like your working world, in your working life? Remember any specific hard times?
Only time I can remember when her mother passed away.
Hmm.
Bad situation. It was, we were there. It was close to Christmas time. It was after Christmas, of course, but just we were in another city staying with some relatives that, and that was not pleasant. They didn't make it pleasant for us. Uh, couldn't wait to get up out of there.
What
But
made staying with these relatives so unpleasant?
well,
Didn't feel welcome.
didn't feel welcome. It was hot some most nights, snow on the ground, cold most nights. You know, you go from hot to cold to
Uncomfortable bed,
very uncomfortable bed,
small bed.
uncomfortable situation. Even watching TV, like right now, you can see I have my shoes on. I was raised that way. I like to have my shoes on when I'm at home. It's just the way I like that.
Mm,
They don't want you to wear shoes in the house, and that made me feel very uncomfortable.
I see. You mentioned there was snow on the ground. Were you guys staying at their house while you were in Texas, or were you in a different state when that was?
We were in a different state,
What state were you guys?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis during Christmas time. So yes,
It
it'll be
was
good.
after Christmas.
Oh, after Christmas time, yes. So snow, very cold, and you're not there in a very happy experience either. So
No,
I can understand. Um, and you, Rosalind, do you remember any hard times with either?
Well, my mother passed, and then my job situation when I had this boss that was not very pleasant. A couple bosses that were not very pleasant, and just to change my work hours. And but I got through it. Thank you, Jesus.
Hmm. And that actually was my next question. How did you get through these difficult times? Let's
Prayer,
start with prayer.
prayer. Number one, first, middle, last, prayer.
And for your difficult time going through the funeral,
a lot of prayer,
a lot of
and
prayer.
then just when it was over, we got up out of there and left. I was tired, but I did not care. I got up, woke you guys up. I woke you, your sister, your mom up at 4. I said, get ready. We getting out of here. And that's what we did.
All right.
Leave it on. Leave it on.
Now
Leave
let
it
me
on.
ask how your relationship was. Remember, you know your relationship, how it is now. Can you tell me how it differed from when you first got together, from when you first when you first started dating? Your relationship now to then. Can you
We're
like?
comfortable with each other. Happy, set in our ways. Don't smack the stuff that used to bother me in the beginning of our marriage. Don't bother me anymore.
Hmm.
He leaves cabinet open, drawer open. I don't care. Leave the toilet seat up.
No, I
I
don't.
don't care. I'll just fall through it and just wipe off later and just say, stop doing that and keep going. It ain't a big deal. Well, maybe if you leave the toilet seat up, I won't like that, but
But you, that's
I
not
try not
something
to
I would
even
do
sweat the
today.
small stuff. When I argue with him or said what I gotta say, I'm done with it. And then we're gonna get on with our marriage. We're gonna just act like it never happened. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Hmm. Now, let me ask a different type of question. I want you guys to think for a little bit about people who you know who have a good relationship, and people who you know that have a bad one. And how could you compare? Let's start with the bad relationship. If you can remember anybody who has a bad relationship, how can we compare that relationship to yours?
I never compared anybody else's relationship to
Well, can you think of anybody who's had that you know has had a bad relationship?
mine. Yeah.
With can you elaborate on that?
A friend of mine, he and his wife are in the process of getting a divorce.
Hmm. And oh, I see. And that's something that you would never see happening in your relationships,
I,
right?
I pray that it does not. I mean, I don't want to leave her. She don't want to leave me. Nobody else wants me.
So you can see that you have a strong future with your wife.
Yeah, I plan to be with her until the day I die. That's the way God intended it. And I plan to follow through.
Because if he leaves me, he will be dying early.
I see you guys do mention God a lot. You're a very religious family.
Yes, I would say we are.
And how would you say your relationship with God is
It's intact. It's good.
intact? And
It's very much intact. It's a good relationship.
mm,
We find ourselves in His favor quite often.
that's a good way to live. And you also mentioned you pray a lot. And how about your children as well? Are they also believers in God as well?
Yes.
And how do you
Although
feel,
although my son didn't go to church today,
how do you feel your children's relationship with God is?
it's good. It's very
But
good.
my son didn't go to church today.
Yeah.
And my daughter rather be out twerking than churching.
No, she was there. My son said he didn't have shoes, and he had on nice
And
shoes.
he went to
They
dinner.
went to
When he went to
dinner.
eat,
Yeah,
he
went out
looked
to
really
eat.
nice.
Looked good. Could have came to service. We'll never mind. It was a good lesson that too. Sunday school lesson that he missed.
I remember your son mentioned he didn't not shoes. He mentioned that he didn't have proper pants or slacks.
And I did tell him I had slacks for him
All right.
And
yesterday and today.
also, just trying to get them to rely on God and pray about everything, even if it seems like it's small and that's something that God don't want to hear. God want to hear about everything. He wants to hear everything, everything. If you want to pray that that the sunshine, just pray for that for the sunshine.
Mm.
But pray and seek God for everything.
Now, I like to ask you another question. Can you think of a good relationship, friends you have that you know have a good relationship, and how would you say that relationship and yours? How you say their relationship and your relationship is similar or differences?
Well, we don't know what goes on in their household, but from what we
Yes, I
see on the
understand.
outside, that they're believers. They believe in God, and they put God's first, foremost in their lives, and so they seem to get along with each other when we're around them.
Hmm. Now, let me ask another question that's a bit different from the originals. Could you tell me about your parents' relationship? I'm going to ask each of you about your parents' relationship. What was it like? And how? And yes, let me start with Rosalind Land. How was your parents' relationship?
My parents, I mean, they were married for a long period of time, but they divorced.
Mm.
It hurt. I didn't want them divorced. I think I was maybe 20, maybe 20, maybe not, maybe 17, 18, maybe 18 when they divorced.
Hmm.
And it hurt. I didn't want them divorced because I really didn't want my mother to be by herself raising a young child. I didn't want to do that. I was living at home. It was myself, my mother, and my son, my youngest brother, and I didn't want that.
So was it just you three? I mean, you three in the house together?
Yeah, and I felt sorry for my mom.
Mm. Did you have any other siblings growing up?
They were all out of the house. We lived on their own.
Mm. All right, and Kelvin Land, I'd like to ask you.
My mother and father were together for most of my life. They are separated now but it's because of an illness that my mother has. My mother has dementia, and with that, she believes that my dad was trying to kill her. That was not the case, but she wouldn't take her medicine, and by she was suffering from dementia, and we just it was best for us, and it was advised by the doctor that we do separate the two. So they live in separate households now.
Mm. And I'd say different differences in your two relationships was I can see is you. It's like you said earlier. You and Rosalind don't feel like you're going to be separating anytime soon. You want to stay together for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and that would be the main differences between your relationships. Um, and we're almost done. I'd just like to ask you guys a few more questions. Um, do you remember anything that sticks up to you now? Things that make you happy in your relationship now? Like, what's something that, let's say, happened to you guys recently that really has made you happy? Anything your
Well,
husband or
one of my kids just graduated with a degree, and another kid is going, and now she's getting her master's, and then my son is at a college, University of North Texas, and he's going to be graduating in 2 years, and we're proud of them. Now we just want them to grow and to be responsible young adults with good paying jobs so they can purchase their own homes and have their families, and so I can have some grandkids, some cute curly hair grandkids.
looking forward to
I'm
grandchildren?
not talking about the nappy curly hair. I'm just talking about the curly
I
hair.
can see you were looking forward to grandchildren. How about
Yes.
you, Kelvin Lau? Are you looking forward to grandchildren as well?
Yeah, I guess it'd be nice.
And you mentioned your kids are in college. Can you tell me their ages?
21 going on 22.
And which child is that?
And that's the daughter.
21 going on 39.
Oh, yeah. And then the
Your daughter,
son,
you said your daughter's name is Chelsea Lynn, right?
Chelsea Land.
And about your son,
My son, Kelvin Land, the
the
second.
second.
19 years old, going on 13. Playing his games.
Hmm. So let me just ask a few more questions. Um, you do mention your kids quite often. Do you remember anything that your kids have done that made you proud? Anything from recent to past?
Yeah, my son became an Eagle Scout. That made me very
Oh
proud.
my God, that made me so proud.
Your son was in Boy Scouting, I presume.
Yes.
And he completed it up until Eagle Scouts?
Up Tell Eagle
Ooh,
stop.
we fought, but he made it.
How did you feel? How did you feel at the Eagle Scout ceremony when your
Proud.
son finally got Eagle Scout?
Proud parents. We're through. Ooh, that was hard. Ooh, good Lord, went through a lot. I went through a lot. But
And my daughter, we were proud when she graduated from the
University of Missouri.
Oh, she's already graduated from college.
4 years, yeah.
She's going back to
Now we
college.
just got to get her a job, get her out the house, have her send me on a cruise and buy my Land Rover white with beige interior. Then she'll really make me proud. And when she released that first rap album,
Do you remember any moments where your children made you upset? Anything that happened where your kids really just didn't make you?
how long do you have?
Oh,
How long do you
I
have?
don't think he got along there. But I'll tell you one thing that I really wish would change
About your children?
about my son.
Your son.
Because when he comes home, we don't see him.
Yeah,
He goes up to his bedroom.
yeah.
It'd be nice to see him down here with us from time to time. Sit down, watch a little TV with us, talk to us. But
As a
he
family,
chooses
all of
not
us,
to do
yeah.
that.
I just what I want right now in life is just my kids to get along,
Yes.
to grow and be mature young adults. Stop fighting and bickering about sweating the small things, because you could be here today and gone the next minute. We have good times when we have good times. They're really really good times when everybody's enjoying and not nobody has an attitude. But I just want them to love each other and act like they love each other, because mom and dad are not going to be here forever, and they hate each. If my kids hate each other now, you know what are they going to do? To part ways when mom and dad die and never speak to each other again?
Mm.
It's only two of them. I want them to be close
You
and
mentioned.
love each other.
Oh, you mentioned that relationship with your son. Anything that your daughter did that made you upset?
I just wish my daughter would have been focused and did a little something different in college.
Yeah.
But she's gonna redeem herself. I know that. But we sent her. She went away to do a particular thing, and then she just kind of got sidetracked and went a different direction. But now she's trying to come back. So let's see what the end result's gonna be.
And my final questions. How do you guys feel about your relationship right now? Are you guys happy with the marriage you have and the life you have?
Yeah, I just want to retire. I want money. I want to make the money I have that I make, but I want to be retired.
And Kelvin Land, are you happy with the life you have?
Yeah. I mean, I often look and think maybe there's something I could have done, or maybe more money. But you know what? God has blessed me where I am. Because I think about the other thing. I could be laying on some gutter,
Mm.
half dead, but I'm not. I mean, we have a fairly nice home, a real good relationship with one another, and I'm happy about that.
Hmm. Now, I'm almost done here. Do you guys have anything else you would like to add? Anything you wanted to share that you didn't get a chance to?
I'm sleepy,
You're sleepy.
and I'm not going walking, but I need to lose some weight.
See,
But
I think
it ain't gonna happen tonight. I didn't get my nap.
Mm. And you, Kelvin Land, any final thoughts?
Yeah, she's making me mad now because we're supposed to be going on a walk.
We're gonna have to do
This is
it
going
another
to keep
time.
doing that until the TV is going to keep doing that until we.
I've worked so many hours. I'm exhausted. I just want my family to understand that I'm not a robot. I'm not the Energizer battery. I'm not the Energizer bunny. And I do get tired. I'm human. I'm human, and I get tired. And I've been going, taking care of my husband and my daughter. And I have not stopped. I have not stopped to relax. I have not stopped. I'm tired. I'm tired.
You seem to do a lot for your family.
I'm tired. I'm so tired.
And all the stuff you do for
And
your
I'm
family.
supposed to keep going. It's like I got a battery just gonna keep me going.
All this stuff you do for your family, you do it out of love, though, correct?
Love them to death. We'll put them before I put myself. We'll jump in front of a bus to save them.
And Kelvin Land, are you appreciative of all that your wife does for you?
Yeah, I'm being very appreciative because since I've had my operation, she's really has taken care of me, and I'm really happy and proud that she, is doing that.
And how have you shown your appreciation for all that she's done for you?
I say thank you.
Thank you.
Give it a smooch.
Well, anyway, I'd like to thank you too for allowing me to interview you. And again, I'd like to thank you, Rosalind, you, Kelvin Land, for explaining to me about your marriage and the ups and downs, lefts and rights. Anyway, thanks again for all your help and for answering these questions. And I'm glad I was able to spend this time with you.
Thank you, son.
I would like to add